The famous figure in history and a generation of demon consorts, Su Ji, has traveled through time. As soon as she opened her eyes, she became the daughter of the Su family. A pitiful little girl with a beautiful appearance and no one to bully. It is also a small transparent girl group with countless black materials and pasted to the 18th line. Isn't this a full-level player returning to the Novice village? The demonic concubines in the eyes of the world. Beauty is a disaster to the water, a disaster to the country and the people. But I don't know the real demon queen. She is skilled, versatile, and doesn't speak too much. On the performance stage, a stunning dance turns against the wind. The calligraphy conference, the long-lost Huajin style, amazed everyone. In the museum, more than 10,000 cultural relics unearthed from the tomb of the demon consort shocked the whole country. In the live broadcast room, the same type of red jade cream breathing pill as the Palace Do drama brings spring back overnight. The super wealthy Pei family has a trendy old man who loves to pursue stars and swears to make Su Ji his granddaughter-in-law. People all know that Pei Sanyi is wealthy in all corners of the world but lacks affection and is not interested in women. Black fans are looking forward to her getting married and watching good shows as a widower. Later, at the Grand Slam Best Actress Awards, Su Ji felt nauseous. Fans thought she was sick, but only Pei Sanyi, who had been chasing her for 2 lifetimes, looked distressed and said, "We're already having a second child, how can we react so badly?" People all say that the demonic consort harms the country and the people, but only he knows that she attracts talented people from all over the world, knows how to handle people well, and lays the foundation for future peace. In his past life, he was a loyal dog tycoon who loved her deeply but couldn't show up. After her death, he personally crafted a pure gold coffin for her and left with regret. In this life, I will never let her go again. 1v1 double cleanliness, sweet pet smash, almighty demon consort conquers the world, novel keywords. Airborne hot search. Pei Ye's delicate wife is a demon queen with no pop-ups, airdrop hot search. Pei Ye's Jiao Jiao is a demon concubine. Download the complete set of TXT and it will be a hot search. The Jiao Jiao of Mr. Pei's family is the demon concubine latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. Full-level players return to Novice Village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The source has no content or has errors. Chapter 2. Have all the treasures from the tomb been confiscated? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Have all the treasures from the tomb been confiscated? After being bandaged by a family doctor, the shocking wound on Su Ji's forehead was hidden under a square piece of gauze, and some bangs were removed to barely cover it. Looking in the mirror, she touched the face that was 9% similar to herself, but still felt a sense of unreality. Being able to be called a generation of demon concubines, her appearance is naturally not vulgar, with red lips and a smile, and her skin is like condensed fat. The only difference is that her original body is extremely haggard after being destroyed, and at a height of 170, she only weighs over 80 pounds. It's okay to be bullied by my stepmother and others at home. 2 years ago, I finally got into an art school and was selected by a girl group to enter the entertainment industry in my freshman year. I thought my life would be different, but now I'm still a little transparent with no presence in the group. I'm covered in black material, and even graduating from an art school is a problem. My boyfriend used her fame to become a new director, and once he gained power, he dumped her. The Pei family is the richest family in a city. Today, she attended Mr. Pei's birthday banquet and finally got the opportunity to perform as an opening guest. However, before leaving, she was beaten to death by her stepmother. Fortunately, Su Ji still remembers the location of her tomb, where all her belongings can be hidden. If she takes any of them out, she can easily help the little pitiful turn over. She took out her phone and got used to using it. She opened Dunyang and entered her previous account and name in the search bar, but there were no results. She had a sudden idea and changed her search to Demon Consort Su. In an instant, the drop-down list displays over 2,000 query results. The demon consort of the disaster country, the beauty of the disaster water, the culprit of the downfall of the country. Some even fabricated her beautiful wild history. In the eyes of the world, the demon queen cannot escape these words, but she does not know the true demon queen, skilled, versatile, and not talkative. In the past, this kind of news used to be dragged out every minute to play 100 big games, but now, Su Ji has more important things to do. She needs to check the specific route to the imperial tomb. As long as there is a treasure from that tomb in hand, there is no need for any birthday banquet performance girl group traffic. She just needs to hug the mat seriously for a while. Unexpectedly, just as I was thinking, a big headline caught my eye. In the early morning of today, the tomb of the first-generation demon consort Su Shi reappeared. Click on the content. This is the largest tomb of the most wealthy in the history of archaeology in China. A total of 88 kilograms of gold and 10 tons of copper coins have been unearthed. More than 10,000 cultural relics have been sent to the National Museum of History, EP1-10. The phone fell to the ground. Upon hearing the sound, Su Tsuni approached his foolish daughter and looked at her with heartache. Ji, can you still perform if you're injured? How painful is it for the screen to shatter like that? Su Ji gritted his teeth, and just as he boasted about his ambitions, he changed his tone in an instant. This rare opportunity for commercial performances is not a hindrance. The treasures of a tomb. Have they all been confiscated? When Su Tsuni saw his daughter insisting, he didn't say anything more. Alright, don't put any pressure on going on stage. If you can't make it in the entertainment industry, come home. Dad will take care of you. The Miss Su family wanted to enter the entertainment industry, but Su Tsuni didn't agree at first, but later felt that her daughter finally had something she liked and couldn't bear to stop it. In order to send her to the most famous Jinyang art school in a city, Su Tsuni had connections and spent some money, so Ning Lihua was particularly dissatisfied. Su Ji clenched his heart in pain and said, "Okay, Dad. It is said that the original body is not doing well. July is the summer vacation, and other members of the team announced that they are very busy. She has been lying dead at home for 3 months. But it's okay, she's here now. Daily updates will send some ordinary red envelopes in new chapters, which can be used to receive book coins without voting. Babies need to hurry up and grab them." Former Black Material King. As long as there is a program where you participate, I will boycott it. Later on, the whole nation went crazy. They sat up in shock from dying illness and shouted, "Sister, I can do it." End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Choose a satisfactory granddaughter-in-law. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Choose a satisfactory granddaughter-in-law. Su Qianro couldn't buy a platinum bag, but because Ning Lihua couldn't go, she happened to be able to carry Ning Lihua's back and change into the small dress specially customized by L family. She turned around in the mirror and smiled sweetly, saying, "Mom, do I look good in this way?" Ning Lihua sat in front of the makeup mirror, her well-maintained face wrinkled with anger today. It wasn't until she saw her lovely and pure daughter that she showed a knowing smile and said, "It looks good, my daughter looks good in everything she wears." In fact, Ning Lihua is also quite beautiful. In her early 40s, she looks like a little girl in her 30s, with a skin that is whiter than snow, but she has more mature and charming charm than a real little girl. For middle-aged men, women like her are indeed extremely tempting. However, their speech and behavior are inexplicably vulgar, especially compared to Su Ji's biological mother. They are even less impressive. "I heard that Xiao Song will also go today," Ning Lihua said meaningfully. The movie he directed has already grossed 50 million yuan at the box office and is quite talented. A blush appeared on Su Qianro's face, and the girl's thoughts were self-evident. However, For a moment, she twisted her eyebrows in distress and said, "Mom, brother Song-Hung is my sister's ex-boyfriend. I'm getting closer to him now. Dad won't be unhappy if he finds out." When it comes to Su-ji, Ning Lihua's teeth itch with anger and she says, "They all say it's an ex-boyfriend. What's wrong with your father? And Xiao Song is so excellent and has a bright future. Does Su-ji match her?" Next to him, Su-junyi also adjusted his suit and said, "Mom, what's going on with that silly older sister today? She probably took some medicine to become smarter, right? If you really have that kind of medicine, I'll give you a box first." Ning Lihua snorted coldly, "She's just lucky today. With her silly appearance, she will definitely make a fool of herself when she performs at the Pei family later. You two must record it for Mom." Su Junyi sneered and said, "No problem." In the scorching summer, the air is filled with a strong fragrance of flowers. A black Maybach Mercedes runs on a spacious avenue. On the passenger side, Su-ji leaned his chin with one hand and looked out of the window at the scene of continuous retreat. Originally, she was wearing the most popular tight-fitting clothes and pants for girl groups. Although her two long legs were white and straight, they were too thin. Wearing them like that made her look even more pitiful. Coupled with the strong makeup of fiery red lips, the impact was quite strong. Before going out, Su-ji changed into a generous and appropriate light-colored long dress. Fortunately, the folk customs of big merchants were not too conservative, and she was quite able to adapt to modern clothing styles. After washing off her heavy makeup, only some lip gloss was applied to her fair little face to brighten her complexion. The mottled sunlight kept beating on her perky nose, and her slender and curly eyelashes occasionally stirred up. Her profile alone was already beautiful. Su Junyi in the back row was almost stunned. "I always feel different, but I can't say where it's different." In the past, Su-ji was timid and cowardly, always bowing his head and looking at people with fleeting and evasive eyes. Today, Su-ji is calm and elegant, and in a daze, he is as bright as the floating dust on a pearl being brushed away, shining brightly. He turned around Su Qianro and said, "To be honest, this silly girl is really pretty. Why can't she get angry? Pretty, are you really pretty?" Su Qianro, who was originally proud of herself, suddenly felt like a rock bottom and said, "Mom is right. If there really is a medicine that can make you smarter, should buy you a box." She twisted her body and sat on the other side, with Su Tsuni focused on reviewing the contract. Su Qianro glanced at him and spoke cautiously, "Dad, are you still angry with Mom? She was really careless today." "Don't mention her again," Su Tsuni interrupted sharply. But Su Qianro didn't stop there. She observed Su Tsuni's slight expression and saw that he seemed to be loosening. She hugged his arm and coquettishly said, "Hey Dad, my mom really knows she's wrong. She didn't want her sister's money, she just wanted to help her manage it. My sister is innocent, and my mom is afraid she might be deceived." Although she is a twin of a dragon and a phoenix, Su Qianro is obviously smarter than Su Junyi. Previously, at home, Su Junyi claimed that her mother was wronged, but she didn't say anything. Because she knew that her father was angry at the time, saying too much had the opposite effect. Now that her father has calmed down a bit, she can only achieve twice the result with half the effort by saying something nice. Su Tsuni snorted without saying whether he believed it or not. "In the future, tell me what you and your brother want to buy. It's not easy for your sister to earn some money." Unexpectedly, Su Junyi became unhappy upon hearing these words and said, "Dad, you are too biased. Our Su family has spent so much money on cultivating her. Isn't it appropriate for her to give back a little?" Before he could finish speaking, the co-pilot Su-ji whispered, "It seems like he spent more money on cultivating you, this little rascal." She didn't look back either, just looking out the window casually. So much so that the three people in the back row almost thought they had heard the wrong thing. Previously, Su-ji never dared to speak in such a tone. However, she was indeed right. This year, just after the high school entrance examination, Ning Lihua coaxed Su Tsuni to buy Su Jun a sports car worth over 1 million yuan, and Su Qianro also had several 100,000 yuan in tuition fees for a socialite etiquette class. On the contrary, there was not even a decent piece of clothing in the wardrobe, and the dress was still picked out by Su Jiqiang. Su Junyi felt guilty and his face instantly turned red. Just as he was about to refute, the driver suddenly slammed on the brakes and knocked his head against the car window. Hiss. How did you drive the car? Driver Uncle Wang ignored him and smiled in the rearview mirror, saying, Sir, the Pei family has arrived. Most people think that the most expensive land in City A is the bustling commercial street in the city center, but little do they know that the quiet area south of Dujiang Bridge on the west side of the commercial street is the real land of every inch. Those who can live in it are not as simple as ordinary wealth. And the Pei family is located inside, surrounded by forests and by a lake, with the best view. It is said that this used to be a grand royal mansion, but after several renovations, it still maintains the elegant and ancient Chinese courtyard style. At this moment, the Pei family has become lively, and the spacious courtyard is filled with various luxury cars, while Maybach instantly pales inside. A dignified old man is receiving congratulations from his guests. Today is Pei Qingshan's 79th birthday. As the saying goes, 9 is no more than 10, and 9 means long, symbolizing 100 years of longevity. Therefore, Mr. Pei's birthday celebration this year is very grand. In his rare years, his body was still strong, and he was born with dignity. His eyebrows and eyes had a hint of nobility and sharpness. However, when he heard that the female group guest to perform today had arrived, he suddenly smiled. He casually ordered a servant and said, "Call down the third young master for me." Many people know that the fashionable old man of the Pei family is particularly fond of chasing stars. But few people know that his pursuit of stars is not for anything else, but rather to choose a suitable granddaughter for his outstanding ability, excellent appearance, but no interest in women, among these energetic water spirit girls. The male lead is not easy to come out with countless calls. I can't hide from the series until night. One day in the future. What? This is the male lead that I can see in Pure Penguin. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. A man like this is definitely not easy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. A man like this is definitely not easy. Third young master, the guests are almost here. The old man is calling you out. In the study on the third floor, the servant gently knocked on the door, and a man sitting steadily like a mountain in front of his desk caught his eye. His legs, wrapped in trousers, were slender and straight, and his black shirt made him even more fair and upright. Sin's thin lips were slightly sharp, and his whole body was filled with an aura of not being close to strangers. 10 minutes. The man spoke with a deep and cold voice. Pei Huai, a person with enviable family background, outstanding appearance, and outstanding mind, as the third young master of the Pei family, is definitely as popular as two top-tier individuals in a city. Shoulder width, strong waist, and long legs, the nose bridge is tall and straight, the Adam's apple protrudes, the fingers are strong, and the back of the hand has beautiful veins. In theory, such a man is definitely not simple. The more abstinent his appearance is, the more fanatical his inner self is. He is gloomy and gloomy. Regardless of the gender, there is no one who doesn't want to have a shameful relationship with him. A group of people came one after another, but in the end, they all came back defeated. There is only one conclusion drawn. Pei Huai is a complete workaholic. In his spare time, he would rather provide voluntary support to the National Archaeological Team than waste a little energy on love and romance. The true flower of the mountains, marrying him is widowhood. The servant was very embarrassed upon hearing this and said, "No way, third young master." The old man said that the girl group performance is about to start, and he insisted that you go down and take a look. Pei Huai raised his hand and rubbed his eyebrows, feeling a deep headache over his grandfather's pursuit of stars in his 70s. What can be done to get him out of this problem? At this point, all guests have been moved to the backyard, and the guest seating and performance stage are ready. To be honest, there is no club in a city that is more suitable for holding a birthday banquet than the spacious and imposing Pei Mansion. Under the guidance of the staff, Suji went to the stage and got familiar with the sound equipment. Not to mention the birthday banquet stage with brocade and red silk, but also the white jade pillars of carved beams and painted rafters, it was quite similar to the place she had stayed before. Today's performance was all decided by the guests themselves. Suji's mind was originally about to dance the energetic girl group dance, but to be honest, this kind of dance is not suitable for today's grand occasion with an average age of 40+ guests. The following groups of guests are all rubbing their hands, with peaking opera, acrobatics, and impressive abilities that cannot be underestimated. Otherwise, because she is a daughter of the Su family, she would definitely not have had this opportunity just because of her current popularity. We can't just waste it like this. Silly little brother, she called out to Su Junyi, who was passing by below the stage. Ah! Su Junyi shook his head and responded, getting rid of the foolish son of the landlord's family. However, the next second he reacted and looked sinister. Who are you calling stupid? Suji lifted his chin at him and said, do you know what instrument Mr. Pei likes? Who in City A doesn't know that Mr. Pei likes to listen to pipa tunes the most, Su Junyi said confidently, with a disdainful expression on his face. Can you play the key? Suji smiled but did not answer. I have to admit that the Pei family has a very unique genetic background. Looking around, anyone with a tall stature, fair skin, and outstanding looks is basically the Pei family. They were surrounded by powerful tycoons with weaker abilities, unable to advance and could only chat on the outskirts. Su Qianro searched around the crowd and finally found the handsome and graceful figure on the outermost edge. Brother Songheng, bold and uppercase, mouth area. Respectfully spit out the cake kernels first. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Lock in the tragedy target. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Lock in the tragedy target. While the rest of the Su family was away, she tidied up her skirt and waved at the person holding champagne. Songheng is tall and thin, wearing a pair of elegant glasses, which can be considered as outstanding in appearance. However, if compared to the Pei family, it is not enough. He turned around and saw Su Qianro with a gentle smile, saying, Qianro, when did you come? It's been a while. Su Qianro walked up to him with delicate steps and spoke casually, Brother Songheng, I just walked around. This place is so beautiful. Songheng looked around and saw that his first movie had a box office of 50 million yuan, which made him confident at the moment. Yeah, when I make a few more movies in the future, I'll be neighbors with the Pei family, he said. Su Qianro said, Brother Songheng is so amazing. Can I visit your house then? Songheng stood with his hand down and said, of course. Pei Qingshan, who happened to pass behind them, looked at them with a strange expression, as if he had been surprised by their bold words. However, he didn't say anything and walked towards his grandson with a cane. Su Qianro glanced at the stage and deliberately reminded, my sister will perform later, so excited. After speaking, he observed Songheng's expression. Songheng's film, The Su Family, is one of the small investors, and for this reason, Su Qianro often had the opportunity to meet him during the summer after finishing her college entrance examination. Songheng helped the Su family earn money, and he is a worldly wise and talkative person. Ning Lihua is very optimistic about him and also intends to match him with her daughter. The two of them are currently in an ambiguous stage, and Su Qianro certainly doesn't want Songheng to have any lingering emotions towards her sister. The observation made her very satisfied, and there was no hint of friendship in Songheng's eyes as he looked at Su Ji, only infinite embarrassment and disgust. Falling in love with Su Ji is the only stain on his life. At that time, Song Heng was still a graduate of the directing department without any fame, so he fell in love at first sight with the Su family's daughter who had just signed a contract with the agency. She was both a socialite and a member of the girl group, with absolute potential for the future. In this way, he passionately pursued Su Ji, writing songs and poems for her, warmly picking her up and dropping her off every day, and finally placing flowers and candles at the entrance of her company in a particularly high-profile way to confess his love. He also specifically invited reporters to report on this matter. Su Ji, who was unfamiliar with worldly affairs, thought this was true love and nodded in agreement. At that time, how high-profile he was, and later when he broke up, Su Ji was so embarrassed that he was mocked by netizens. Song Heng really couldn't bear it. After being together for 2 years, Su Ji, who was introverted and shy, didn't even let him touch his hand. He had a beautiful face but no interest in it. And later he found out that Su Ji was not favored by the Su family, and there was no development in the girl group. Continuing like this would only delay his future. Song Heng was immersed in memories, and at some point, Su Ji on stage also looked at him. Su Ji, who had taken over all the memories of his original self, naturally knew how scumbag this brother was. Unfortunately, his original self had not been able to distinguish before, thinking that he had done something wrong in the breakup. He cried secretly under the covers for countless nights. Su Ji curled his lower lip at him, his peach blossom eyes were incredibly beautiful. Song Heng was momentarily stunned, but when he regained his senses, his eyebrows furrowed even tighter. She has indeed not forgotten him. Is there really no better man than him in this world? At this moment, Song Heng, who was feeling extremely frustrated, could never guess that what Su Ji had just given him was actually a smile that aimed to target future scumbags. End of this chapter. Chapter 6. Strong Face. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Strong Face. Stinky kid, how did you get down after dawdling? You've only had contracts with those people in your lifetime. Don't make any more money, you can't spend all that money yourself. The big yellow dog in the neighbor's Mr. Wang's house has given birth to 13, and you're almost 30 and still alone. You're really a great filial son. Pei Huai glanced around lightly and said, Who would have thought that President Pei, who is often difficult for countless tycoons to meet, would be constantly criticized by the old man at home? The guests immediately turned their backs to Mr. Pei's gloomy gaze at the fastest speed in their lives, trembling as if they had not heard anything. In fact, among all his grandchildren, Pei Qingshan loves Pei Huai the most, but when it comes to training him, he is not at all ambiguous. If you don't want grandpa to say you, hurry up and give birth to a great-grandson like your second brother. As he spoke, he pursed his lips as he saw a young man in his 3rd or 4th year old holding a toy car, fidgeting with his short legs and swiftly shuttling between the guests. My car is the world's #1. Wearing suspenders and pants, with a bow tied at the collar, this mischievous little bully is always the son of Pei Huai's second brother, Pei Xingxing. All the guests took their seats, and Pei Qingshan was surrounded and sat in the first row. Pei Huai deliberately separated from him and chose a seat in the 3rd row. Pei Xingxing swayed his short legs beside him, holding a car in one hand and licking a lollipop in the other. His small lips were moist, as bright as his purple grape-like eyes. After a while, he held the car and handed it to Pei Huai, asking in a milky voice, Uncle, can you help me with it? Pei Huai is reading a document. Take it yourself. It's very heartless. Pei Xingxing pouted and muttered, no wonder we can't find a girlfriend. Pei Huai. The girl's clear voice was heard through professional amplification equipment. On stage, Su Ji sat in front of Li Mai, holding a borrowed pipa from the staff in his arms. His long skirt was gently blown by the summer wind, and the gauze covering his forehead with bangs was faintly visible, showing a stunning beauty. Pei Huai was stunned for a moment, his breath froze for a moment, and his heart seemed to be stung by something, rippling in circles. But he couldn't figure out where this strange feeling came from, and after only a few seconds, he lowered his eyes and returned to the document in his hand. This is a fax sent by the Archaeological Bureau. With his financial support, 5 archaeological teams have gone through 6 years and finally successfully excavated this tomb, which is known as an archaeological milestone. The document provides a detailed introduction to the internal structure of the tomb and details of accompanying burial items. It's strange to say that despite his unconditional support for the project for 6 years, Pei Huai didn't show much interest in these contents and even felt a bit annoyed. "I'll go," did she really switch to playing the pipa? Su Junyi, who was sitting in the back row, exclaimed in surprise. "That's all I said." Did she really fight to please Mr. Pei? Su Qianro sneered inwardly. "Dad, can sister play the pipa?" Su Tsuni shook his head with concern. Su Junyi's tone was exaggerated. "Big sister, you're really being ridiculous. Even if you don't know how to play, you still insist on showing off. Isn't it still our Su family who lost face in the end?" Song Heng sat in the same row as them, and upon hearing this, he wished he could find a crack in the ground to crawl in. Many people on site knew that Su Ji was his ex-girlfriend. She was embarrassing, and he was also embarrassing. Su Ji's delicate jade hands gently caressed the strings of the piano, and she could see the faces with different expressions below the stage very clearly. "Look, isn't that the daughter of the Su family? I heard she was just dumped by the young director. What does their group seem to be called? Drop notes." Yes, netizens say she's the drop note, singing off key. Also, she performed lip-syncing before, but the production team played the wrong song. That's embarrassing. How dare she challenge Mr. Pei's favorite people like this? Oh, not to mention that I'm looking forward to it. How exciting is it? Through Ning Lihua's promotion, it is evident that wealthy ladies are very familiar with Su Ji's black materials. Many people raised their phones, waiting to watch the good show. Su Junyi directly opened the live broadcast with a malicious smile on his face and said, "Since so many people are recording, then I will open the live broadcast and show my hundreds of thousands of fans what level our sister's voice editing live is." Su Qianro sneered, "This time she's quite clever. Anyway, it's also helping her increase her popularity." Su Tsuni didn't react. They were saying something ironic. "Quiet, the performance is about to start." Suji curled his lips and smiled, looking at everyone's expectations. It was not easy to save their face. With a lift of her hand, Su played a few notes on the pipa, and sure enough, the next second, a long suppressed mockery echoed from below. The ladies were afraid of losing their composure and covered their lips with silk to smile, while the nobles shook their heads one after another. The phone in the audience was raised even higher, and Su Junyi couldn't wait to buy 2 hot searches for his live broadcast room. It's worth spending some money on such a wonderful experience. Look. I just said she can't play." He laughed the fastest, and Su Tsuni scolded before lowering his volume. "Don't worry," Su Ji stood up in front of him, his voice seeming to be bewitching, "I need to play seriously below." The girl's 5 fingers spread across the strings, looking as relaxed as when she had just played randomly, but this time, an infinite and affectionate scale flowed out. The scene was instantly quiet, with all the raised phones parked in mid-air. Those who just mocked her were all dumbfounded. Su Ji ignored it and lightly closed her eyes, her smooth tone leaking continuously from her fingers. When she hummed a minor melody, her stunning voice was so beautiful that it was almost Su's bones. A beautiful and auspicious song, very suitable for birthday wishes. Beauty is like a painting, finely twisted and lightly gathered, rustling with bamboo. Pada. The lollipop in Pei Xingxing's hand fell to the ground, and the softened syrup formed a knot on the ground. At this moment, his eyes were really full of stars, and 4 big characters with pink bubbles popped out from his hot head. He, in love. Pei Qingshan, who sat in the first row, also had his facial expressions completely copied and pasted. As a veteran member of the Pipa Association in a city, he has never heard such a performance that is so eloquent, skillful, and emotional. He already has 4 big characters on his head. Juan, son, daughter. In law, wife. Soo Junyi's live broadcast room exploded. Is it deceiving? Is this Soo Ji's on site level? How could that slutty Pipa be played so well? Can you hum those 2 lines and directly seal the gods? If it weren't for live streaming, I would definitely have thought it was lip syncing again. There's an impulse to turn a blind eye to her. Who's going to give me a hand? Upon seeing the comments, Soo Junyi looked bewildered. Did Soo Ji intentionally start shooting randomly just now? He spent money on hot search to make Soo Ji ridiculed by the entire online group, but now he has helped her advertise instead. Soo Qianro bit her lips unwillingly, and her fingers crumpled the dress at her knees. The most frustrating thing for her was not Soo Ji's performance on stage, but Song Heng's gaze. At this moment, Song Heng was completely surprised by Soo Ji's performance. He had almost left the banquet early in disgust just now, but now he leaned forward, wishing his eyes would stick to her. The strongest assist in history, Grandpa Pei, is online. The smallest rival in history, Little Star, is online. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Grandpa introduces you to a good man. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Grandpa introduces you to a good man. At first, Soo Tsuni was also very surprised, but later guessed that his daughter might have learned the pipa at a brokerage company. He was moved and ashamed to think that his daughter, who usually remains silent, would work so hard for her dreams. While most people had not yet regained their senses, Soo Tsuni took the lead in applauding. Until the last note fell, Soo Ji slowly opened his eyes. She can only say that her performance just now is okay. She hasn't adapted to this body yet, and her fingers are a bit stiff. If it weren't for her soft and versatile voice and waist, and her good demeanor, she wouldn't have earned the title of a demon queen. Back then the people who used to mock her are now quiet, just hoping that no one saw them being slapped in the face just now. Unexpectedly, Soo Ji put down her pipa and didn't leave immediately. She took off the microphone on the microphone and casually placed it on her lips, saying, "Someone just recorded a video. I'm not sure if you're satisfied with my performance. If you're satisfied, please help forward it and help Hookah increase traffic." At first glance, it may sound quite polite, but in fact, it's not, to mention the prickly side. Pei Hui calmly flipped through a page of the document. Although he didn't look up, he chuckled very lightly. The little girl is a bit interesting. She dares to openly challenge a room of powerful people. Pei Qingshan turned around to see his grandson's reaction and happened to catch his fleeting smile. Those wealthy heirs who were disciplined by rules and regulations looked the same to Pei Qingshan. They didn't have much hope for Soo Ji at first, but unexpectedly, their first meeting gave him such a big surprise. Don't worry about whether it's superb pipa skills or the exhilarating energy of stabbing people in the lungs. Whether that filial son likes it or not, he likes it anyway. Who says that wealthy families cannot enter the entertainment industry? This is called generating electricity for love. Moreover, he likes Soo Ji, a little rascal who doesn't give up even if he doesn't become popular. With his perseverance of not hitting the south wall and not looking back, it is only in the future that he may be able to protect his obedient grandson who won't let in any oil or salt. Although the subsequent performance was also commendable, Pei Qingshan's mind was full of vague thoughts. After the process was completed, he dealt with the guests and found Soo Ji next to a table of delicious dishes. Peeling shrimp and pounding crabs, nibbling on roasted beef bones, sucking on half a plate with juicy clams, and even peeling a small handful of crystal lychees. Her eating style is both elegant and bold, making it hard to spot any etiquette flaws, and she deeply feels the fragrance. The Pei family chefs are all at the level of state banquets, and the banquets they produce are certainly delicious, but in such occasions, everyone's focus is on socializing and trying to attract as many powerful people as possible. Su Ji is the first to embrace the banquet so seriously. Pei Qingshan was so hungry that he said, it's good to eat more. The girl's meat is a bit cute. Su Ji looked up at the sound and obediently said, Grandpa Pei, I wish you a long life. She could have instructed old Pei to bring her a plate of brewed shrimp, but the sudden poverty smoothed out her edges. Okay, Pei Qingshan sat next to her with a cane. Your name is Su Ji, so Grandpa can call you Xiao Ji. Su Ji. Okay. Sitting closer and looking even more beautiful, Pei Qingshan was very fond of it and said, Xiaoji, do you have a boyfriend? Su Ji looked up at Song Heng not far away and truthfully told him, I've been dumped. Pei Qingshan followed and squinted the next second. Isn't that the one who lives next door to him as a neighbor? Is he your ex-boyfriend? Pei Qingshan was shocked, as if a small delicate flower had been planted on the cow dung. Xiao Ji, how can he be worthy of you? Su Ji casually replied, I also feel that men don't have good things. Pei Qingshan nodded halfway and realized something was wrong. He quickly changed his mind and said, I can't say that either. He smiled and said, Grandpa will introduce you to a good thing today. Ah no, a good man. Dear children, let's continue to improve tomorrow. The most important thing about a new book is collecting, commenting, following, checking in, and getting tickets. Every strength is crucial. Please provide more support. Kneel down and thank you, Chaoren. As long as the data explodes every day, it's not a dream. Cake kernels are produced, and pit products are guaranteed degree, end of this chapter. Chapter 8, Then I'll Take It. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8, Then I'll Take It. Song Heng was also looking for Su Ji in the crowd, only to find Su Ji sitting with Mr. Pei. What did Mr. Pei ask her for? Isn't it offending the Pei family? Just as I was about to step forward and take a look, my arm bent over a delicate force. Su Qianro pulled his arm and said, Brother Song Heng, let's go over there. I'll let my sister see you later. It's time to keep pestering you. Song Heng was stunned for a moment, then nodded nervously and said, okay. I almost lost my mind by Su Ji, who was abnormal today. If I were to be entangled with her again, it would be disastrous. At the other corner of the guest seat, Pei Xingxing supported Pei Huai's arm and stood on the chair, also looking toward Su Ji. He stretched his neck as long as possible, his small body trembling and crooked. Fortunately, the little uncle's arms were particularly strong and powerful, and he could hold them steady. Uncle, it seems that Grandpa Zheng is going to introduce your little sister to you as a girlfriend, Pei Xingxing said like a little intelligence agent. Do you want it? Pei Huai put away the documents and glanced at them. No, not really. Then I'll take it. That's what Pei Xingxing said. Pei Huai smiled slightly. I don't want it, and it's not your turn. Why? Since you don't want it, it doesn't matter who the little sister likes. It has nothing to do with me or you. As they were talking, Pei Qingshan had already brought Su Ji to the two of them. Pei Qingshan. Xiaoji, this is the peerless good man I want to introduce to you. Su Ji's gaze wandered between Pei Huai and Pei Xingxing for a few seconds, and then he saw Pei Xingxing take a step forward and actively claim it. Hello Miss Su, my name is Pei Xingxing. He bent down and made a very gentlemanly posture, and Su Ji was amused by his serious expression. A peerless good man, hello, the girl smiled with bright eyes, and the light in her eyes was like a brilliant galaxy. Pei Huai unconsciously glanced a few more times, and before the strange feeling in his heart rose again, he shifted his gaze to the injury on her forehead, as if studying how it came about. Pei Qingshan picked up the small light bulb. It was already unfortunate that his obedient grandson had never had a girlfriend in his 30s. If he were to be intercepted by his nephew again, would he still live? It's not this little thing, Pei Qingshan pouted at Pei Huai. It's my grandson, Pei Huai. The two of them met in the air for a second, and Suji first reached out his hand and said, "Hello, Suji." If you talk about Pei Huai's beauty, she was definitely a top male favorite in the past. However, Suji is more concerned about the large blue whale media under the Pei family, and maintaining good relationships is always beneficial. Her eyes were clear and indifferent, but perhaps they were too indifferent, which made Pei Huai's heart float with a hint of frustration. He glanced at Suji's outstretched hand, but still maintained the motion of grabbing the bag with both hands, only slightly nodding and saying, "Okay." The next second, Pei Qingshan swung his crutch onto his sturdy long leg and said, "What's good about it? Give it a hand. Shake hands with Xiao Ji. I don't know, pretend to be cool for a while, get to the crematorium right away." Suji's mouth twitched, but there was no need to. Pei Huai is usually like this in the group. He has a deep obsession with cleanliness and is not used to shaking hands with people. But Pei Qingshan looked at him meaningfully, with a strong warning in his eyes, as if as long as he dared to say, no, Pei Qingshan dared to immediately fall to the ground without foaming. Today is the birthday banquet, and tomorrow is the funeral. Pei Huai's eyes were tinged with a helpless smile. He extended his hand and said, "Hello, Pei Huai. At first, let Mr. Pei watch the demonic concubine dance. Yin yen yen, wasting time. Later, I asked Mr. Pei to watch the demon consort dance. Twist one more, I'll give you my life. P.S. Babies, it's time to sign the contract." End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Can be sisters. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9 Can be sisters. At the moment of fingertip touch, warmth emanates. He withdrew at a touch, and Suji quickly withdrew his hand. The air conditioning is too cold, making her palms cool. The two stood facing each other, talented and beautiful, and could no longer be a perfect match. Pei Qingshan paused for a moment, his shrewd eyes flickering slightly. "By the way, I haven't paid you today's appearance fee yet. Could you please send me the account of your economic company? Hey. Where's my phone?" Pei Qingshan, who was sandwiched under his armpit, saw the phone in his suit pocket at a glance and said, "Grandpa Zheng, the phone is." Pei Qingshan directly covered his small mouth with his big hand, and the baby's chubby little face was squeezed out of shape. "Xiaoji, you can send it to Huayer's phone and ask him to transfer it to you. I am such a clever little ghost." Pei Huai certainly knew Grandpa's thoughts, but he could only follow suit. 188 Wait a moment, Suji took out his phone, and the blinking phone case with a 9.9 yuan 3-color free shipping almost lit up Pei Huai's eyes. Pei Qingshan is the protagonist of today and should not leave for too long. He held Pei Qingshan, who was still struggling for love, and smiled meaningfully. "Huayer, I'll leave it to you. I'll go over there and take a look." After speaking, he left and took his grandson's little rival with him. Suji found a green and white icon on the SMS interface. WeChat, the main platform for modern social interaction. She knew that Mr. Pei wanted to mess with the Mandarin duck chart, but she had to admit that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Since the grass on the grave has been cleared by someone, if they want to help them turn over, they can only temporarily take over her shift. Taking advantage of just embracing the banquet, she smoothed out the current form. The original contracted Tianyu agency was very small in scale and notorious for squeezing artists. The other 3 members of the group were also students of Jinyang Art School, who were in the same class as her. Jinyang Art School graduates in 3 years, and the contract for dropped notes has also been signed for 3 years. When they graduate next year, small clunky entertainment like Yuan Yuan will definitely not renew their contract. Hold on to Blue Whale Media's thighs and be prepared. With this in mind, a hint of cunning flashed in Suji's delicate eyes. "How about I add you on WeChat to send it?" As she spoke, she revealed her QR code. The girl's words and laughter were sweet and alluring, without realizing it. On the phone screen, amidst the maze pattern of black dots, a bright red heart is about to drip. The combination of the two is like implying something. Pei Huai rolled his Adam's apple calmly and said, "There's no need." After pausing for a second, he added, "Grandpa's words don't have to be taken to heart. I just followed his advice just now. I'm not interested in women." Su Ji's hand, which was being held up, suddenly lifted, and his previously lost expression was instantly elevated by his last words. He is not interested in women, not interested in women, women are not interested. What good thing is this? No wonder this man was able to calmly look at the documents in his hand, sitting still and having top-notch composure, when facing the pipa tune from the Demon Queen before. The atmosphere gradually became eerie, and Pei Huai frowned heavily. The expression on the little girl's face was unpredictable. Upon hearing his straightforward refusal, she was not disappointed, but instead saw tolerance, understanding, and even peace of mind on her little face. Just wondering, Su Ji didn't give up. This time, he directly pulled his hand to cover the QR code of the central red heart, saying, "That's the best. In the future, we can be sisters." End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Good horses don't eat back grass. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Good horses don't eat back grass. Pei Huai looked at the carefree little hand and reacted for a second, causing his forehead veins to jump wildly. His mother, what is she thinking? He's not interested in men either, okay. And even if he is interested, he should not be a sister's, right? Su Ji could clearly see the anger in his eyes after being exposed, and immediately gave him a reassuring smile. Although she comes from ancient times, historical records also record that throughout the long history of the Kingdom of China, the Great Shang dynasty was the most tolerant and open era to this matter. Su Ji once had several such good sisters, who usually covered them. Just thinking of the old man who was in a hurry to hold his great-grandson, some things cannot be forced. Huaier, what are you talking about? Pei Qingshan, surrounded by guests, poked his head out and looked at his grandson who was still standing there, feeling uneasy. Pei Huai laughed angrily and, before his grandfather forced the palace, he beeped and scanned Su Ji's WeChat. He warned, "Don't send me messages casually." Su Ji smiled brightly and said, "Okay." Pei Huai looked at a row of solemn-colored business tycoon accounts on his WeChat, and suddenly a bright peach heart squeezed in. Looking at her WeChat name, Pei Huai's expression was indescribable. Su Ji sent him his company account, but before he could even savor the meaning on his expression, the phone suddenly rang. Sister Jing. Seeing the caller ID, Su Ji instantly understood the other person's identity. Just as I pressed the answer button, the person in front of me was ignited like a firecracker. Su Ji. Who allowed you to take on commercial performances without permission? Do you still think you're not black enough? Don't think I don't know what you think. The movie directed by Song is currently hot, so you want to seize this opportunity to gain traffic. Song has already said hello to the company several times, and they don't want to have any relationship with you anymore. This Jingjie is none other than the agent of the dropped note. Su Ji comes from a good background and is beautiful. When she first joined the girl group, the company still valued her very much. At that time, Chen Jing didn't dare to talk to her like this. However, 2 years later, Su Ji not only wasn't popular, but also got into a black hole. Finally, she had a promising boyfriend, but was dumped. Chen Jing now gets annoyed when she sees her, with a dull personality and no sense of variety show. It's impossible for her to become popular. On the phone, Chen Jing was still roaring incessantly. Hey! Did you hear me? Don't think you can turn red by secretly learning a pipa. I heard from Sister Jing. A cold girl's voice came out, with a casual smile. Chen Jing's cursing suddenly froze her case, and she opened her phone to take a look. It was Su Ji's fault, but why did it sound so wrong? Shouldn't Su Ji, as usual, tremble and apologize to her, saying that she was wrong and never dare again. Why are you so calm today? And just now? Did she smile? Sister Jing, aren't you my agent? Su Ji turned around and turned her back to Pei Huai. She hugged her arm and spoke lazily. Chen Jing. Nonsense. It took 8 lifetimes of bad luck to become your agent. Su Ji smiled again and said, that's good. Listen to Sister Jing defending Song Dao every word, I thought you were his agent. You. Chen Jing remembered the money that Song Heng transferred to her in order to stop the company from hyping up news about him and Su Ji. Her aura immediately halved, and she changed her previous attitude. Hi, I'm also doing it for you. Nowadays, stir-fried cold rice is no longer popular in entertainment, and fans feel down. Su Ji lightly curled his lips and said, don't worry, this attack never backfires. A certain master was angry. Does my wife still have a way to turn things around? Turn him into a grave grass. Lifetime 1v1 double cleanliness, children can rest assured to enter the pit, end of this chapter.